Tyler Jones, welcome back to T-Town. I hope all is well, man.
Always good to be back with you, Ryan. Now that since we talked last, I feel bad that Marquise is your boss now, man. Like I don't know how you deal with that.
I know it. He does keep me in line, and that is I'm very very thankful. He gives me the guidance, and he gives me the break sign. He gives me the wrap sign. You know those signs. I mean, you got to have a guy that you depend on, and Marquise Munson is that guy, and he's
now he needs to give you the raised sign, and then you'll just be all set.
Maybe I'll advocate for that, but I can advocate, but I'm not sure it's coming. But Tyler, let's spend some time here, just a couple of minutes, okay? Because let me give you the local pulse here. There's not a lot of confidence when we begin to analyze Tua and Kyler Murray. Not a lot of confidence here in Tuscaloosa. What is it like there as you're looking at Kyler Murray and the confidence growing that he'll win the Heisman Trophy?
I think that the confidence has increased as you look at the odds, according to folks out even west, further out than I'm at. The odds have increased towards Kyler Murray's favor in the last couple days, and I think a lot of it goes back to Saturday. You saw that Tua suffered that injury, and ultimately a backup quarterback in Jalen Hurts was needed to rally Alabama to win that SEC championship compared to what we saw from Kyler Murray, that he was able to put his team on his back and defeat an arch rival, avenge a loss, and send his team to the college football playoff with a very solid performance, in particular that fourth quarter drive that he led them on the march, 90 yards to go score late in that game. I think that ultimately is what's going to decide this Heisman race is how they performed on that championship Saturday. That Kyler Murray stepped up under pressure and he had his Heisman moment. Well, whether it's fair or unfair, I know that injuries happen in this business. It's the nature of the beast. Whether it's fair or unfair, Tua didn't have his. I think that you saw Tua dominate. He and that Alabama team, they dominated a lot of teams this year, but there was not that one specific moment that you can point to that said, hey, he was the difference between his team winning and losing, because quite frankly, until last Saturday, they just pushed everyone over. This Oklahoma team, if you take Kyler Murray out, who knows where they would be without him. I mean, he made such a huge impact just by himself on that Oklahoma squad, leading them to where they are now.
You think he's better than Baker Mayfield?
I don't know, actually, if he is. I think that there are some aspects of his game that are better than Baker Mayfield. He's certainly a better runner, but his arm isn't as good. He's not as accurate as Baker Mayfield was. But they're both very talented quarterbacks, both very different quarterbacks. And still the sample size, you saw 4 years of Baker Mayfield play college football. Sure. Kyler Murray played, 4 games at Texas A&M and now 12 games at Oklahoma. There's just not the sample size to compare the two directly for a definitive answer if one is better than the other.
Tyler, how much of the talk – because I know there was some buzz earlier, and you got to remember when we get locked in on Alabama, a lot of things don't. But I thought I read an article where there was at least some debate that he's not going to go to baseball. Did I not read an article there that there was some debate that there maybe – but, I think that's changed. But can you give us the latest, and what are the options there, or does he have any options?
Well, Scott Boras, his agent, is a baseball guy and is certainly trying to push him, put him in a trap to force him to play baseball, as he's got that signing bonus of already $4 million that he's cashed in to this point that he's already claimed to. But there is a possibility that he could come back for his senior year and finish out at Oklahoma another year after this. Certainly up in the air. Things would have to be worked out, worked along the side. The A's would certainly have to be flexible with it. But he will play professional baseball at some point in time. His future, with him being undersized, his future is still in professional baseball. He's not going to play in the National Football League unless his baseball career doesn't work out. That is not what's going to happen. So I think there is a possibility, a small chance that he does come back next year if they can work something out with his agent and with the Oakland A's. But right now, the way that contract and the way things are written, all signs point to him playing going to minor league baseball next year, unless they can work something out. It's a small chance, but crazier things have happened before. And so far, everyone was shocked to begin with that the A's just let him play college football to begin with. So maybe he can work something out to come back, but he would really have to want to come back pretty badly, and then also had the A's work with him a bit because he's already received some money, a lot of money from the Oakland A's, that commitment he's already made to play baseball for them.
We're talking to Tyler Jones as he covers Oklahoma, and we're talking about the Sooners in Alabama, Kyler Murray, Tua Tagovailoa. Let me ask you, do you think this is going to be close? Do you, if I ask you right now that you are putting hard-earned cash on this, who do you think wins it? I mean, just a prediction, and I mean, we're not going to hold your feet to the fire. I mean, we're just asking for maybe your insight, just your gut feeling.
I have a good feeling that Kyler's going to win this, but I do think it's going to be one of, if not the closest Heisman Trophy races of all time, because there was a good chunk of people that probably submitted their Heisman ballots before the championship games on Saturday. And if you do that, if you submit your Heisman ballot early, you should have your vote taken away from you because you need to see the whole body of work before you can really determine who deserves the Heisman Memorial Trophy, in my personal opinion. I think that based on early voting, that you would give an edge to Tua, because he was the leader, all season long, for 12, 13 weeks. And so for those that voted early, I would assume that there was an edge there for Tua. But those that did the right thing and waited for the season to actually end itself would give a majority to Kyler Murray. So while all the odds makers are saying that Kyler Murray's the favorite at this point in time, I think it is going to be relatively tight because of that early voting for Tua, where he probably had an edge with those that did go ahead and submit early.
Tyler, I'm going to ask you, Tyler asking about Kyler here. A lot of darts that we throw here locally, and I think a lot of those are fair. When you talk about, I call it arena football, but you guys call it the new age, modern football. You guys are evolving maybe faster than some of the others. Certainly when you talk about the Chiefs being in your area, and I know you cover that team as well. But you look at the defenses that Kyler Murray has went up against. Is that a fair point that we're making here, that the defense is undesirable in the Big 12?
Oh, sure. It is a very fair point. This is statistically, Oklahoma is bringing in, I saw a tweet from Jason Kersey, the worst defense in the history of the college football playoff. Granted, the playoffs have only been going on a few years, but still, that's really bad no matter how you slice it. Mike Stoops did get fired as defensive coordinator halfway through this season. He did a very bad job. And, McNeil, things did not improve a whole lot under Ruffin McNeil, but you got to remember, Mike Stoops was still the guy that recruited these players, that still taught these guys the scheme and, did all the weight training with these guys. You put them on the plans that they are on now. So there's not much that Ruffin McNeil could really do to immediately improve this defense. All of it is a byproduct of Mike Stoops, who OU fans were calling for to be fired for the last 3 or 4 years. He did a terrible job as defensive coordinator at OU. It was a result of nepotism as why Bob Stoops hired him to begin with. Remember, they had Brent Venables, who's doing a great job at Clemson right now, is the best defensive coordinator arguably in all of college football, and Bob wanted to give his brother a job because no one else would, and sure enough, chases out Brent Venables in the process, and Mike Stoops just tore that defense apart, and they're still reaping all the problems, the bad seeds that were sown under Mike Stoops. So OU fans will be the first to tell you that they have a bad defense, and that goes back to what Mike Stoops slate of a bad foundation there. I'll say this much, though, is that although the defense at OU is not very good, I do think that the Big 12, you guys, in the mainstream media and everything, do give Big 12 defenses a harder time than what they deserve, because there are a lot of points in this league. It is a different style of play. With the no-huddle offenses, there's so many possessions. You're going to give up points no matter what. It's just a byproduct. That's how things are going to be. So I think that, yes, Oklahoma is not a good defense, but I don't think that speaks for the whole league as a whole. I think they are better than what the perception is out there. They are better than advertised. You've seen, TCU with Gary Patterson. He's had top 20 defenses, in college football consistently for years. Texas had a very good defense with Tom Herman, taken over, and what they've done the last couple of years there. This year, some of these other teams around the league, K-State and Bill Snyder over the years played very good defense. I think that's there is some things that are true, especially in OU's case this year. But as far as the whole league goes, a lot of that out there is is the perception is not necessarily reality per se.
Tyler, when you look at this Alabama-Oklahoma game, what are you expecting? And I know it's 24 days away, brought to you by Alabama Credit Union, alabamacu.com, 24 days away from South Florida at the Orange Bowl. What are you expecting in this type of game? Is shootout? You think it's big and low scoring? Just your overall thoughts when you go into this Alabama-Oklahoma game.
I'm expecting a very high-scoring game between these two teams. Both of them, because they have explosive offenses. And, it reminds me in the sense, Ryan, of a couple weeks ago, you mentioned the Chiefs and me covering the Chiefs. Remember that great Monday Night Football game between the Chiefs and the Rams? It was the best game of the year in the league. And there was points galore, and ended up being, one of the highest scoring games in the league history. Both teams scored over 50 points. But the game was still decided by the defense, as Patrick Mahomes had 5 turnovers in that game, and the Rams defense scored 21 points defensively, what they were able to do in that game. I think that's the type of game you're going to see, in the sense of there's going to be a lot of points, but defense is still going to have an impact, whether it's Alabama's defense or whether it's Oklahoma's defense stepping up of some sorts. I think points will be given up on both sides. But this game is going to come down to what defense can force a couple turnovers, a couple stops here and there that will make the difference in this game. And on paper, you would give the edge to Alabama, of course, defensively, as you rightfully so. But does that Alabama defense have a solution for Kyler Murray and company? I don't know. Right now, Ryan, if I were to guess, and I haven't made a prediction yet, I know you're in the same boat, that we're still trying to wait things out the next couple of weeks. I think that this looks pretty close. I would be surprised if one of these teams won by double digits. I think we're talking a single-digit game one way or the other, no matter who wins.
Tyler Jones, certainly a guy that we're going to connect with as we get closer to Oklahoma and Alabama. We're going to be shifting our attention to this Heisman and really focus on that, but also spending a lot of time breaking down this game. It's going to be, for one, you talk about the blue bloods of college football. See, I'm one of those that I think this is good for college football. What is it, 8 national titles out there? Am I right? 8?
7 for OU, yes. Are
okay.
you guys still claiming, like 20, 25 national titles or something like that?
Well, I mean, I think we claim 17, but you could probably claim about 22, 23. I mean, it's
sure.
it's just it's national championship. I mean, we trip over trophies down here.
Yeah. How many I think we call that fake news, right?
Oh, is that what it? Yeah. But no. I well, and this is no joke. Now I'm gonna tell you the true story. They renovated the building a couple of years ago, the Malmore football building, which is where Nick Saban is housed, and the football operations, and the locker room, and the training facility. I kid you not, they ran out of room to put the trophies.
That says a lot. No doubt about it. Nick Saban and company have done a great job. He's the greatest coach of all time. That's the greatest program of all time and the best job in the country. I think that is When you look at it, a lot of people give Alabama a hard time and get you sick of seeing Alabama. I want to see us get to a point where somebody takes down the big dog. Whether it be Oklahoma this year, we saw it with Clemson a couple of years ago. I think it's good for college football when somebody gets the opportunity to fight somebody like Alabama. To go through, to be the best, you got to beat the best. I think it's great for college football. We got 3 blue bloods in this. Clemson's the newer blood, but Notre Dame in there, Alabama, Oklahoma. Ohio State was a contender this year. USC was down, but this would be exciting. I think the ratings are going to be really good. That'll be something to watch for, especially since they're both on Saturday. Both games are Saturday the 29th. I think we're going to be talking about some really good ratings for both these national semifinals, Ryan.
It is the Jones Report podcast, available there, 1320 KLWN, out of that area, covering Oklahoma, covering exactly what those guys are able to do in college football. Lincoln Riley, the stories continue to be thrown out there that this guy is primed and ready to even maybe take that next step. I know Baker Mayfield said the comment about the NFL, and certainly that might even be a distraction that we're not thinking that is a distraction right now, but it may become a distraction as that's developing there. You believe that he's an NFL future coach? I mean, do you believe that maybe in the next couple of years we're going to see him at the NFL level?
I wouldn't doubt it, actually. I think that, as young as he is, one of the youngest coaches in all the FBS, I would be almost surprised if, within the next 10, 15 years, if he's still at Oklahoma, just because he's got so many options ahead of him. I think Oklahoma's going to do everything they can to keep him, but with a coach that young and that talented, it's going to be tough. He's only lost 3 games in 2 years. And eventually, Lincoln national championship. I don't know if it's going to be this year or when, but eventually that day will come. You get to a point, if you're that young and you've already won a national title, what more do you have to accomplish after a while? So I do think that there will come a point in time when Lincoln Riley has some decisions to make. But for right now, I would say that he's still going to stay at Oklahoma at least for a couple more years before any moves to the future as far as that goes. But it's exciting times for the Big 12 for sure, with Lincoln leading the way. We're glad to have Les Miles back in the league as well. That's going to be fun to see how that plays out.
Oh, it'd be epic. It will be epic, man. You'll love that part, man. He'll give you more quotes on your radio show than you'll ever need. It's awesome. Tyler, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for being a part of the show here in Tuscaloosa. I know we're going to try to connect Tyler Jones live on the Twitter account, but we'll try to connect maybe a couple more times as we lead down to the big game. I appreciate you for being a part of the show, man.
Hey, absolutely. Ryan's on my podcast tomorrow, so check it out, Babel on iTunes and all that.
Yeah, no, and certainly, man, you tag me in a tweet, and I'll retweet that exactly, man. Thank you for being a part of the show, Tyler.
All right, thanks, Ryan.